All right, let me run some names by you, Mr. McMullen, for once this season is over and done with. And
Yes,
I know,
yes to everyone. No,
okay,
go ahead.
Break the bank, Davante Adams.
Well, God, yes, number one, but no way would he come here.
All right, we are the Mac and Mac guys here on Birds 365. My partner John McMullen with me, Jody McDonald, kind of trying to claw out of yesterday's, I'm going to say crushing. Again, if I need to apologize, I'll continue to apologize. I got a little too hyped about the Eagles winning 3 out of 4 and doing it a little bit differently than most teams do, running the ball down people's throats. Thought they were going to be able to do that against the Giant defense yesterday. And they did put up 200 yards rushing, but as John so aptly put it in the first 25 minutes of the show, if you're going to do it that way, the margin of error, the amount of care you must take of the football is daunting. And Eagles turned it over not once, not twice, not 4 times yesterday. 3 Jalen Hurts interceptions and a very untimely Boston Scott fumble, and that's why they lost to the Giants. So we're breaking it all down for you. But we're also getting sidetracked a little bit, and I'm going to let us get sidetracked again here because Jalen Reagor just flat out killed them yesterday. Very catchable
He had
ball.
one nice catch.
He did in the red zone.
Yeah. Back shoulder. Yeah. It's maybe the nicest play of the game, offensive play of the game for the Eagles. It is what it is. That's a footnote. That's what you call a footnote, Jody.
How sad is that footnote that's the highlight play? But Reagor is just absolutely killing the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagle fans here on the stream and on Twitter killing Greg Ward for not catching a touchdown pass. It was a near impossible catch. It was a bad throw that he made a good play just to even get his fingers on. But I digress.
I think everyone defaults to is Davante Adams going to make that catch? Yeah, probably. Is some of the great receivers, the Eagles.
You want me to give you a guy who wasn't going to make that catch yesterday? DeVonta Smith doesn't make that catch. Their best wide receiver doesn't make.
Well, yeah, I don't put Davante in the category of the Davante Adams yet. I mean, I think he might get there. I think he might get there. My only point is, the top 5 receivers, top 10 receivers, they're probably going to catch that ball. But again, you can't expect every receiver to be a top 5 or a top 10 receiver. I mean, if it's got to be a circus catch and it should be an easy catch, well, some of the blame's got to go to the quarterback as well to throw a more catchable ball, to put it in a better position. I think that's fair. But I think it's also fair to say, Jody, that Greg Ward is not the answer. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is not the answer. And I'm at the point where I'm starting to look at the practice squad guys, not, as I said, not only hear about it on other teams and saying, well, they can probably help me some way. And again, as a third receiver, I'm not expecting Davante Adams. I'm not expecting Stephon Diggs. I'm expecting somebody who can go out on the field and run a competent route and catch the football if it's thrown to him. That's it. It's a low bar.
Here's where I'm jumping to disagree with you. You just said a third receiver. Is that accepting Quez Watkins as your
second receiver? You have to, because you can't get 2. It's not accepting it after the season. I think you got to upgrade everywhere. But in season, I mean, you probably can't even find a 3. You're certainly not going to find a 2.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the Eagles have the worst wide receiver 2 in football. If another team's got one worse, please give it to me. And they have the worst wide receiver 3 in football. Whoever you want to say is 2 and whoever you want to say is 3. It's pretty stinking bad. So when we talk about Jalen Hurts and his development as a passer, yeah, it's not good. But also, you got to throw that into the equation. He's not throwing to star receivers either, so it makes it more difficult. He's throwing to two guys who won't let him down, and one guy they completely took out of the game for a game plan perspective. And again, I want to give the other team is trying. So if you're looking for the positives, Patrick Graham came up with a really, really good game plan, really effective way to say, hey, I'm going to put the game on the quarterback's plate from a passing perspective, not a running perspective. And he was able to do that, say, beat us throwing the football. They couldn't be, it's ironic. He would have beaten them throwing the football at the very end. It would have been an ugly win, but the receivers let him down. So it was a good game plan. Force guys who aren't good at certain things to do the things they aren't good at. That's all you can do. And then the defense played well. They were playing a bad offense that was struggling with playmakers. It didn't have, and the playmakers that were out there were banged up, like Saquon Barkley. They gave up 2.6 yards a rush. They didn't give up, the longest pass play was 20 yards. They gave up 13 points on the road. That's pretty good.
All right. I asked you about this earlier in the show, and I know we want to stay focused on what happened yesterday, what needs to happen when they go up the Turnpike again next week to play the Jets. But they have wide receiver issues today, next week, the week after, and for years to come. And I asked you, would the Eagles consider using one of their 3 first-round draft picks on a wide receiver again? 3 years running, taking a wide receiver in the first round. It's just not happening, Joe. They're just not going to do it. They'll get a veteran guy. They'll go out and improve the wide receiver position via free agency. All right, let me run some names by you, Mr. McMullen, for once this season is over and done with.
Yes to everyone. No,
okay.
Go ahead.
Break the bank, Davante Adams.
God, yes, number one. But no way would he come here. I mean, no way. Davante Adams is smart. I mean, I think he's the best receiver in football right now, but he's also got somebody who could deliver him the football. He knows it's great to get money, but, he knows that it's going to take a dramatic dip in production to come here, even if the Eagles offered him the most money. And this is the assumption that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. And if he isn't the quarterback, it's probably going to be a draft pick. Maybe that changes if they're able to get a veteran quarterback and then you can get a package deal done. But unless they get a quarterback who can throw the football with consistency and big numbers, no. A player like that is not going to come here.
I tend to agree with you. You dream the dream, but at some point you wake up from the dream, and that's probably not going to happen. Allen Robinson of the Bears.
Love him. I think he's the most underrated receiver in football. Boy, he's had some bad quarterbacks throw to him, and he gets open. He's a great route. That is a good name, Jody. He is exactly the type of receiver they went. The only concern with Allen Robinson, injuries. He's had a lot of them over the years, but man, he's a good route runner. And he is exactly what this team would need at the wide receiver position. It would be a little ironic because the last one they got was from Chicago as well.
The Bears too, right? Yeah. With Alshon.
Yeah.
One of the issues there, and Green Bay is going to attempt to put the franchise tag on Davante Adams. Certainly, he's worthy of a franchise tag. Allen Robinson is playing on the tag this year, which means the Bears could do it again next year. The price tag's only going to go up because if you keep throwing the tag on, it gets more expensive as you do it. And he's playing into an area now where you might not even be able to justify the kind of money that he's getting. So we got to wait and see if he hits the free agent market, but he is someone that is certainly viable. How about Chris Godwin of the Bucs? Now, the Bucs kept all their free agents this past year. Everybody came back. Keep the band together for Brady to take another Super Bowl shot. This season will play itself out, and we'll see if Tampa goes back again, wins back-to-back, gets picked off along the way. They did a nice job of keeping everybody this year. Chris Godwin's going to get paid this offseason. Godwin, Robinson, both in the same stratosphere. Which one would you prefer?
I think Robinson is a better receiver overall. But, again, when we talk about the Eagles and improvement, Chris Godwin would be a significant improvement. I'd probably if I was able to get him, I'd probably just stick him in the slot and go from there. A little bit drops the football a little bit too much, but compared to what we have here, yeah, I mean, that's a significant upgrade. When my concern when high profile free agents come to Philadelphia, though, is that if they're not, like, I have no questions about Davante Adams and Allen Robinson, none. I mean, they're just good players, just good. Guy like Godwin, he's a good player, but he's going to come in with expectations of being a great player, and he's not going to reach that level. And then you sort of say, okay, how's it going to play in Philadelphia when people expect Chris Godwin to be a star receiver, and he's not a star receiver. It's more of a really good compliment. That would be my only concern there, but certainly an upgrade, a huge upgrade.
Guy we saw here at Lincoln Financial Field just a couple of weeks ago was very highly drafted and had a couple of very forgettable years at the start of his career. But then they went out and got a quarterback who could really deliver the football, and all of a sudden he's become a star wide receiver. Mike Williams of the Chargers.
Yeah, he is a really big target, really athletic guy. Certainly another one. Like any name you're going to throw out there is going to be significant upgrade, and he would be in that category as well. Again, he's probably the type of guy, and you saw when the Chargers played poorly yesterday. I forget who they beat. They came back. You might remember. And
Broncos beat him yesterday.
Yeah, not yesterday. The week before, I think Herbert.
Against Steelers.
Yeah, Herbert made that great throw down the sidelines to Mike Williams. He's not going to have that guy slinging the football. But, yeah, this is sort of the Eagles trying to get better. And I think we're going too pie in the sky here with these names. I think we just need sort of a competent veteran who can play the game well. But the same thing what I said with Davante Adams. Now, Davante, he's going to be franchised, whatever. But all receivers know the landscape, and they know the game. Unfortunately, it's not fair, but if you have a great Pro Football Focus grade, you can bring it into a GM when it's contract time and say, look, I'm a great receiver. I do this well. And they're like, oh, how many catches you have? I mean, it's antiquated. It's a poor way of looking at it. But my larger point is receivers know they got to produce to get paid, and they want to be in situations where they can produce. So I don't know, these big high-profile guys are going to see this as a situation where they can produce in a big way.
See, here's where you and I would diverge. Davante Adams is going to get a contract from the Eagles or the Packers or wherever else is going to set him up for life. So in his mind, he doesn't have to sweat every single catch he's going to get going forward, because guess what? He got paid. He got the big deal. Allen Robinson is going to get the big deal. He's going to get paid. He's not worried about his next contract. I'm getting my meal right now, one piece. If you're going to drop down into the next group of receivers who aren't going to get 5 years, $50 million guaranteed, that they're going to need that next contract, yeah, they're going to base their decision on, well, what am I actually going to be able to do numbers-wise when I go to Philadelphia if I'm catching the ball from Jalen Hurts? So that's why I started with the mega wide receivers, because you can get them to come here by blatantly overpaying them and saying, You don't ever need another contract. This is it. Here,
well, you're probably right from a logic standpoint, but I will say, Jody, have you ever met a receiver? They all want the football at all times.
Divas. That's very true. You got a point there.
They would not be happy with a situation where they don't think they're going to get the football. I mean, you're already seeing it.
They're going to get the football. Well, after watching Jalen Hurts yesterday throw it to Jalen Reagor 7 times, maybe I shouldn't say this, but they're going to get the football when they come here. The question is, are they going to be able to get enough catch? It's not going to be for lack of targets. If Davante Adams comes here, I mean, thinks they'll throw it to him a lot each and every single game.
Well, you would think you would think, but if you're again, and it might be right if we're talking about a package deal, and we're talking about Sean Watson coming here and he changes his mind, and we're revisiting all those discussions. Or they draft a young quarterback. But no, there's no guarantee with the current quarterback, if they're going to move forward, that even the biggest names in the game are going to get the football consistently. I mean, let's look at since the shift, which was kind of Las Vegas, 18 completions, 9 completions, 11 completions, 16, 13, 14. That's a pretty significant sample size. There's not a lot, there's not a lot of food to let people eat. We've already talked about it. Only 2 players get targeted up to this game, which was Davante and Dallas Goedert. Patrick Graham did a good job of taking them out of it. So you look at, targets in this game, DeVonta Smith, who is number 1, right? He's the number 1 receiver right now. He got 4, everybody else, Dallas got 3. Jalen, obviously, as you mentioned, got 7. Quez Watkins got 5. And then it's all the running backs and that kind of stuff doesn't matter. I mean, Greg Ward got 1. Not a lot. Not a lot, Jody.
No, I think you could tell Davante Adams on where we get you, we'll throw the ball more, and we'll specifically throw it to you, Davante. But you're going to have to pay way through the roof. All right, let me drop down to a secondary group of receivers. Tell me what you think of these guys. Michael Gallup of the Cowboys.
Oh, I love Michael Gallup. Yeah, that would do the old 2-4. You hurt your division opponent and you get a good receiver. He's the 3rd best receiver on the Cowboys. You could argue right now, Davante's going to be better, but you could argue who'd be the best receiver right now. It's just a really good, really underrated player. And they might feel they can't keep him. That might be an attainable goal. And especially you're going to have to overpay. And again, you're in that same wormhole. Expectations. The more you get paid, Jody, the more the expectations are. And can he live up to those expectations? I don't know, but I think he's a good player. I think he's an underrated player. Good player. And then you look, he doesn't get a lot of attention either. When everybody's on the field, when Cooper's on the field, when Lamb's on the field. But he's proven when those guys have been out, and he's been out himself, but when he's out on the field and those guys haven't been on the field, he still produces. He's a good player.
Interesting name. All right, I'll give you another one. DJ Chark of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's been a productive receiver for them 5 straight years, even with lesser quarterbacks like our backup, the mustache here in town. Does a guy like that, will that satiate Eagles fans for an upgrade at wide receiver?
Well, again, certainly an upgrade. You're not going to be able to give me a name that's not an upgrade. So he's certainly an upgrade, and that might be more of the range you're looking at. I think.
Right, here's it, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll let you finish your point. Let's say Davante Adams hits the free agent market. Let's say Allen Robinson hits the free agent market. Let's say Chris Goodwin hits the free agent market. Let's say Mike Williams hits the free agent market. Eagles sign DJ Chark. How is that going to play? That 5, 6, 7 other guys better are out there, but they're not coming here because they don't have the faith that they're going to be the main targets and get the ball 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And the Eagles signed the 8th or 9th best free agent wide receiver this offseason. How's that going to play?
It probably won't play well with the fan base, but you have to understand where you are. And, it's not a desirable locale for a receiver right now. So, you got to add that into it. Maybe a guy like DJ Chark is more realistic, and he's certainly going to be cheaper. And I think he's hurt right now. I think he's missed most of the season. So you have the injury mixed into it. And I forget, I think he broke his ankle, maybe. I don't know. But he's not playing. But he is young. I think he had 1,000-yard receiver season. So he's had some production on a bad team. That might be a nice cost-effective signing, and sort of the realm you should be in. That type of player. That's kind of the wheelhouse type of player, if you're asking me.
That's why I am asking you, because if they're not going to draft the wide receiver, you tell me it's going to be via free agency. These are the names that we can and should be talking about. And I'm just going by a list.
Well, I was told by somebody with the Eagles that we're not drafting a receiver in the first round. But then again, the person I was told is pretty high up, but he's not the guy making the decision. So you never know.
Which, by the way, and I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, because it's been an ongoing conversation basically since, I would say, maybe not the night of, but certainly the week of, when Jalen Reagor was selected. The story leaked out that that wasn't necessarily a Howie Roseman pick. Because
I think it leaked out later. I don't think it leaked out that early.
Right. And it may have even waited till Mr. Jefferson started catching pass after pass after pass in Minnesota.
By the way, went over 1,000 yards yesterday. What game? 11, game 11, whatever.
He's a pretty good player. And I just, again, personal, you take grief where you need to take grief, you take credit where you need to take credit. Like on Twitter, 10 seconds after Jalen Reagor was selected, yours truly went on and goes, how do they not take Jefferson? This isn't one of those wait till after Jefferson becomes a Pro Bowl level wide receiver. I said it that night when they called out Jalen Reagor's name. What the hell are they doing? So the Eagles have been feeling the pressure on this for a long time. But eventually the story became, it might not have been a Howie Roseman pick, that they may have deferred to the coaching staff. And it's that much easier now because that coaching staff isn't even here anymore. That they preferred Jalen Reagor. And Howie Roseman might have taken Justin Jefferson. It's irrelevant. It's done. It's over. It's finished. If Reagor can't play, you just got to move on from him and not worry about it. But at what point does that happen? What point does that kick in and you go, all right, screw the past, screw where we took them. We just have to eliminate it and move on.
Well, yeah, it usually doesn't happen this early, but it's so bad. I think you got to kickstart it a little bit early. Now, yeah, I don't expect them to cut Jalen Reagor or anything of that nature. In the offseason, they'll try to trade him. So he certainly wants to get traded. I've known that for weeks. He doesn't think he's being used correctly, which is whatever. At this point, what could you get for him? Nobody's even going to offer a 7th-round pick. So that might look bad than even just moving on. Or you just bench him and you say, all right, he's on the back end of the roster and people slowly forget about him. And that's probably the most likely route, I would say, more than anything. But he's played himself off the field. And it's a shame. But, everybody talks about Jefferson. To me, the most egregious part of this is not Jefferson, believe it or not. It's the mentality or the thought process that we wanted a Tyreek Hill-like presence on the offense. That's why they took Jalen Reagor. It wasn't like they didn't like Justin Jefferson. They did like him. They thought he was a slot receiver, played in the slot in LSU. Now, that's the problem with evaluation. All he does is play outside.
Right.
So just because he's at LSU with other great receivers, and they say, he's probably, let's put him inside because he's a great route runner. That's why they did it, because you can take advantage of route runners more inside than outside. That's when they really, really shine. And that's why LSU did it. You got to be savvy enough to realize, okay, he can play on the outside. He's certainly fast enough. He can do everything, and he's proven that. But what in the world does make anyone look at Jalen Reagor and say, oh, I see a little Tyreek Hill there? I mean, what in the world? Because he's fast? Because he's shifty? Because, they want to stretch.
Because he's under 6 feet tall? Just because of the build?
I guess. That's it. You're probably on it. He looks like him physically, and some of the stopwatch measurements kind of match. I mean, watch him play football for 5 seconds. One is a natural football player. The other looks like a great athlete trying to play football. And it doesn't take long to figure that out. That, to me, is the most egregious part of that pick.
All right. He is John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. Mac and Mac guys doing the tough thing on a Monday after an Eagles major letdown loss against the Giants up the Turnpike.
By the way, we got to say, Jody, like, share, and subscribe, Birds 360.
Oh, I forgot to say, maybe we shouldn't. Who's going to like anything today? I'm not liking anything today. I'm just barely liking you McMullen. How the hell am I going to push the like button for the show?
That's what, people need. The Eagles need consistency. See, you're consistent with your dislike of me. I appreciate that. You got to bring your A game every single day. The minute you let down is when bad things happen.
No, I dislike what happened up at the Meadowlands yesterday, but we must force our way through this. And adding insult to injury. There's the turn of a phrase. That's what I want to talk about when we come back, injuries. How badly did Jason Kelce leaving that game hurt the Eagles yesterday? Man, Nate Herbig had to, and he's a big dude. Tough for him to hide, but I'm sure he wanted to try and hide.
By the way, I'm going to defend Nate Herbig after the break. I'm going to defend him.
All right. You go ahead and try. Those were some drive-killing penalties. We called 6 points off the board. There's no defense of that.
Well, that's what I was talking about, margin of error. But backup player, backup player trying to replace an all-pro. And, oh, by the way, had to come back in the game to replace Jack Driscoll. Not a lot of guys who can do that.
One of the hosts of Birds 365 continued to talk about how the Eagles had great offensive line depth. Didn't look like it yesterday with Nate Herbig taking penalty after penalty after penalty. McMullen and McDonald here with you on Birds 365. Coming right back.